Women look at relationships like a financial investment. This is part of biology. This is a part of social norms. This is a part of socialization. It's a part of culture. When we have culture norms, social mores, things that are just socially accepted as normal, quote unquote, then what is that? That's something that people follow. That's something that people adhere to. When it comes to dating and relationships, this is no exception. In fact, it's a leading cause. It's a leading aspect of these things, which is expectations, right? In this day and age, a lot of cultural norms are broken. A lot of cultural norms are ignored. Social norms are broken. Social norms are ignored. However, when we have social norms and cultural norms that benefit a certain group of people, it stands to reason that these culture norms and these social norms would be upheld, particularly when it comes to men and women dynamics. Culture norms such as the guy has to be chivalrous, he has to be, intrepid, he has to be, a man's man, all these things that women go for. It's very easy to sit back, rest on your laurels, and just pick and choose. Take which men you want, discard the men you don't want. This is the society that we live in. Society where women have carte blanche, where women are uplifted, women are praised just for being, not praised or uplifted for any virtue of excellence or any virtue of merit or any virtue of production per se, meaning they're not viewed in the same light as men are. And we have to understand this to understand men-women dynamics. The classic argument with feminism is that men and women aren't equal. This is their beef with society. This is feminism's beef with society. Well, if we put that to the test, if we put that to task, if women want to be equal with men, they have to be judged by the same standards, by the same yardstick. So, for women to be equal to men, women have to have the same social norms as men. But this isn't seen in society. This is why feminism is full of shit. This is why feminism is full of crap. Because its fundamental tenet, absolutely fundamental, when you sift through the abortion argument, you sift through the wage gap argument, at its fundamental core, feminism is supposed to be about equality between the sexes. Period. Equality in any scenario. Okay, I hear you, feminism. So let's break that down with the scientific method. If equality is the goal for feminism, then women would be held to the same standards as men in every scenario. You can't just pick and choose what scenarios you want to be equal and pick and choose what scenarios you want to be special in. That's what we call hypocrisy. It's a double standard. If women are to be equal to men, then women need the same standards. What are the standards of men? This is what we have to talk about. What is a social standard and a social norm for men? How do women choose men based on what standard? Of course, we're talking about Chivalry is a part of it. Why? Why is chivalry a part of it? Chivalry, if you think about it, would technically be sexist. Men pandering to women. Men sucking up to women and treating women special. That's sexist, according to the classical feminist definition of equality between the sexes, right? That's sexist. So let's say that we got to take that out. That can't be something that women need to be equal with men. Women don't treat men with chivalry. Not at all. What's the other thing that men have to be? Men have to be, in addition to chivalrous, they need to be honorable. Whether it's morally, personally, subjectively, or whether it's honorable at work or honorable socially. Men have to be honorable. They have to be revered. It's better for them, makes them more attractive if they're liked by the village, by the whole village. What does that have to do with? It has to do with honor. It has to do with respectability. They're all kind of in the same class there, right? How does a man get honor and respect? Well, he does it by how he presents himself, by how he interacts, how he treats other people. So that is a social norm. Do women have that same standard? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. People don't judge women based on their honor. Honor isn't even something that comes into mind when we're talking about women and equality between the sexes. Honor and respectability, that's implied. We're supposed to give women that automatically, not on any basis of merit. Again, simply because they're women. That is another sexist phenomenon, right? That's sexist. You don't just give men honor and respect. It's something that needs to be earned. Of course, I personally like to give people respect. All people, just a sort of general type of respect because they're human beings. But mostly, respect and honor is earned. And that has to do with how people view you, how you interact. Social norms, social psychology. Let's move on. What else makes a man? What else does a man need in order for a woman to want to mate with him? And I'm just talking about outward things. I'm not necessarily talking about looks, because that kind of goes without saying. Most of us want good-looking people. We want to be with good-looking people. That's just a human trait. There's really not much to get in there. We just assume that that's true. Assume that that's a want and a desire. Unless we're talking about women. Then looks is very, very important, because looks is the great equalizer. Looks means leverage. Looks means ability to barter. Your looks are a ticket to a higher life. We'll get into that a little later. The other thing, which is paramount for men, that men must have, is finances. What is finances when it comes to men? Finances is the ability to provide. Finances is the ability to pay for things, the ability to go through life being a breadwinner, go through life paying rent, paying bills, being able to have extra money to buy things that you need in addition to your necessities such as food and housing and clothes. The man who has the higher financial status is more sought after. This is evident, observable in society. Goes without saying. It's a dirty little secret that we don't like to talk about because not all of us have our finances together. In fact, most of us are just average or below average. Most of us are lower to middle class. So most of us don't necessarily fit into that higher echelon of financial success category. But we have to talk about it. Men are viewed and judged. Their worth is very much placed on their finances. Is it the same with men? excuse me, is it the same with women? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. A woman is not judged on her finances at all in any way, shape, or form. Of course, if you've got a really poor woman and it really affects her, then it might be a thing for a lot of guys. But most guys don't care. Most women are going to be middle to lower class or lower middle class, what have you. And this doesn't affect their ability to be in decent shape, to look beautiful, to buy clothes that are reasonably attractive. No one cares if you're wearing Chanel. No one cares if you're wearing Gucci. Most guys don't care. You can look beautiful and dress up very nicely and tightly with a moderate salary. Get your nails done, get your hair done, pay for the right makeup. Very moderate living. So based on what I just said, what can we surmise? That the sexes are absolutely not equal. There's no way. There's no way they're equal. Just on those three characteristics: a man's social worth, his honor, his respect, how he presents himself, is he chivalrous, how he treats women, and his finances. There's just none of those are the same when it comes to both sexes. Women get away with murder when it comes to how they treat men. They get away with, come on, there's no comparison. Women are not judged by how they treat others. Women are not judged by how respectful or honorable they are in the community. Women are not judged by their finances. Women are judged by their looks. Let's be honest and let's be real. When we understand that and we know that, then we can throw the whole feminist argument out the window, because it doesn't matter. It's asinine. It's repetitive. It's redundant. It's silly. It's just silly. Men and women aren't equal because we're not judged on the same standards, period. The end. Until women are judged on the same standards as men, women can never say that they're equal. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's a ridiculous argument. Absolutely ridiculous argument. So why do women choose a man who has good finances? Well, let's break it down. Biology. For hundreds and thousands of years, women have chosen men who can provide. Why? Because providership equals survival. Survival equals passing on the gene pool. Passing on good genes. If a man is fit, he's able, he's successful, so to speak, meaning he gets things done where and when it matters. This is viewed as good genetics. Biologically, women want to pass that on. This is why men don't necessarily have to be so outwardly attractive to get a woman. Because women are very child-centric. They want to bear children. Why do women chase bad boys? Because their biology, their mating clock, so to speak, doesn't necessarily, especially in this day and age when we have time and leisure and the opportunity to mess around and waste time, you don't have to go out and bear children right away. So this secondary sort of default attraction comes into play, which is good looking guys and bad boys, right? Because the bad boys, deep down, I believe women, I don't know if I buy this whole, I buy it, but I don't buy it fully. This whole women mistake bad boys as you know, more quote unquote alpha. I don't know if I buy that. I think women are smarter than that. I think they're just going by, they just want to have sex. They want to mess around. They want somebody attractive to make them come. However, when it comes to their maternal instincts, they want somebody who is going to be able to provide. And looks comes in second to that. When that maternal instinct kicks in around 25, between 25 to age 30, they've went out and messed around. They've rolled the cock carousel for a while. They hit their first wall, lost some attraction, party, drank, smoked some weed. Now they look a little bit older. They can't attract the same quality and caliber of bad boys. Okay. They hit a wall, one of the 2 or 3 or 4 walls that they'll hit in their entire life. And then they start to look at things a little more objectively, start to look at things a little more logically. I want children. And many of them will have children at this point. They'll get pregnant at some point, and they'll make that mistake, and they'll learn that, oh, the bad boy isn't going to stick around, or the guy I messed with isn't going to stick around, because why would he? You're just a slut, right? You guys weren't in love. You were just having sex, right? So they'll hit that wall. They'll come to that realization and say, I need somebody to help take care of my kid financially. This is hard. This is harder than I ever thought it was going to be. This is a 24/7 responsibility. I love my kid. I'm a woman. I'm very child-centric. However, this shit is expensive. Daycare is crazy expensive. This is crazy time-consuming. It's super stressful. I need help. I need financial help. This is when their maternal instincts really kick in. When they're like, oh shit, I can't be messing with these bad boys. I need this financial cushion. So, quote unquote, smarter women will choose the financial guy from a younger age. They'll be raised better. They'll be a little more smarter. Their parents will probably tell them, you need to hook up with this guy who's got a good job, blah, 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 blah. And they'll be preaching that from a young age because their parents are smart. So they'll be more attuned to a guy who's got a better job. And guys, if you've ever been denied by a girl and she's ever said, I need a real man, you're not a real man. This is what they mean by a real man, a breadwinner. So let's just think about that socially, psychosocially. This is not feminism. That's not feminism. That is, what do you call that? It's a double standard. That's not feminism. You can't sit back and be like, oh, I'm a feminist, I'm a liberal, I'm this and that and this and that. And then you go choose a guy for his money. You're a hypocrite. That's not feminism. That's not equality. That is you being a woman. That's you being a biological female. I need a guy who can take care of me, who's successful. I'm attracted to these successful guys because they get things done, because that's the good genetics to pass on for mating. Because that's what society backs up. The guy needs to have his finances together. This is a social norm. But yet, that's not love. So, why do women choose men who are financially well off? Because they want a good situation. They want to live, they don't want to struggle. They don't want to be poor. Oh, yeah, I want love, but you want love, but you also want to have a comfortable situation. You also want to have a nice living, a nice home. And what gets that for you? Your pussy. Women are slanging pussy. This is why sex is so hard to get for the average guy. This is why. This is exactly why. Because women know what they have to offer, and it's pussy. Women have pussy to offer men in exchange for financial comfortability. Think about it. Would you rather live in some apartment somewhere in the hood? Or would you rather live in a nice home, in a nice neighborhood, in a nice city, and have everything that you want? Nice food, nice clothes, good furniture, clean house, trips twice a year, vacations twice a year. Have everything paid for. Your kids will have all their camps paid for. Your kids will have everything they need, anything extra they need. The parents will be able to provide, or the dad will be able to provide. Think about it. That's very nice for the rest of your life. So women have this kind of choice that they have to make, this dilemma. Do I go with my heart? Do I try to find love, real love? Or do I look for a guy who's got money so that I can be taken care of? This is, in my opinion, what most women are going through from about age 15. Okay, the ones that are a little more stupid, the ones who, and I hesitate to even say the word stupid, because actually it's not strictly true. Actually, they're a little bit more, they're more American, in my opinion. If you don't go for a guy who is rich from a young age, yes, it's sort of stupid. Yes, you can be viewed, or, we could say that it's stupid in a sense, from a very objective, crude sense. It's stupid. On the other hand, it's better because you're more human. You're more normal. Humans are flawed. Humans, we make mistakes. From a biological standpoint, from an existential standpoint, from a long-term standpoint, it's stupid to be promiscuous. It's dangerous and it's stupid to mess around. Because if you think about it, again, what does a woman have to offer a man? Sex. That's what she's exchanging. That's what the man is paying for, is sex. Comfortability, you could call it love. I would just call it familiarity. Some say love is, the equation of love is, familiarity over time. Familiarity times time, right? So the more you are familiar with somebody, the more you're comfortable with someone, and the longer you spend with them, the more likely you are to quote unquote love them, right? Love is just familiarity. Of course, that's not what being in love is. That's a whole different ballgame. But when it comes to quote unquote love, when many people say, I love this person, or it's almost like you say to your sister or your brother, I love you. Well, you love them because they're your family. You love them because you can't get rid of them. There's nothing you can do. Some people say, I really love my sister. I really love my brother. I really love my family. And they mean that, because there's a difference between, just loving somebody because, quote unquote, they're your blood, and loving somebody because you really love that person. They've proven themselves. They've been faithful. They've helped you. They've been cool and great to you. You've had some ups and downs. You've had some arguments. You've made up, etc. You've forgiven. You've apologized. Blah blah. That's real love when it comes down to it. Real love is, I forgive you. If you really want to know, real love is, yeah, you've been acting shitty, but you apologized, and you know you're wrong, and I forgive you. That's real love. That's real love. Okay, this quote unquote love between family members and marriages, etc. A lot of it is just familiarity. A lot of it is just familiarity times time. You're just comfortable. You're in a comfortable situation. Many marriages out there are just situational marriages, where the woman sticks with the guy because he's safe. She knows he's not going to cheat on her. He's faithful. And he's stable. He's stable. He brings home money. He pays for things. Many marriages, financial reasons are the number two, I believe, number two or number three reason why marriages break up. Think about that. The number two or the number three reason. I think infidelity is number one. So if finances are the number two reason, what does that mean? That means that people are breaking up because guys are losing their jobs because they can't afford to pay for the house. So the women are leaving. So finances was more important than real love. Consider that. This is how bereft people are. And I'm not just going to say women, I'm going to say men and women because both are participating in this. Both are doing this for some reason. This is how bereft of any foundational, fundamental quality, efficacy of real love most relationships are. Most relationships do not have real love, real genuine love as its basis. So let me go back to the bad boy thing. I said I'd touch on it later. Now let me talk about that, the bad boy thing. Why do women, if this is true, if women, are totally hypocrites and they love double standards and they talk about equality, but they don't live it. They really don't have the same yardstick and standards as men. Then and they're out there trading pussy and bartering with pussy for a guy with money so they can live well, which is my theory. So you're right. If you say that, and if you say, well, Jason, if this is the case, why do women chase after bad boys? That doesn't make sense, Jason. The women wouldn't be chasing after bad boys, and really because they want the alpha guy, and it doesn't matter if he's broke. And you're wrong because, I see so many women chasing these loser guys, and they're losers. You know what? The main people who I hear that argument from, when we're talking about guys who are arguing about this, this phenomena that women choose bad boys and chase bad boys, and they're like, oh, look at me, I'm so stable, I have a good job. Everyone told me this, the social norms, a real man is a guy who has a good job. So now that I got a good job, why aren't women coming to me? Why aren't women, why don't I attract women now? Well, probably you're not looking in the right places. Maybe you're looking for the wrong type of woman. But actually, you're cheating yourself as well because you think that your money is going to find you a good woman. So you're actually cheating yourself when we're talking about real love. And this goes back to my whole premise that this is not real love. In exchange for sex and finances and in a good situation is not real love. But let me answer your question. Why, Jason? They chase these losers. So what you're saying can't make sense because they chase bad boys. Yes, they do. But remember when I said that these women are actually not quite mature? That's why. They're not mature. They have a good enough situation. And actually, like I was trying to say, is that they're actually a little more normal than women who are just looking for a guy to financially take care of them. Because I think that's very abnormal. I think that's horribly abnormal for a woman only to chase a guy who is a financial successor to her, a financial benefactor, a breadwinner, a supplier of all her needs, quote unquote. Materialism, right? Objective or subjective, taking care of her. you get what I'm saying. So it's a little more normal for a woman to chase a bad boy because they're not just cut and dry. It's not just financial. It's also emotional, subjective. They want to be excited. They want to be sexually excited. Why do women cheat? Why do women get bored in marriages? Often because they choose a guy who's just stable and safe, and they don't choose a guy who actually excites them. Who's the guy that excites them? The bad boy, the guy who plays by his own rules. Does it matter if he has money? Hell no. It doesn't matter if he has money. Doesn't matter. Because he's got black jeans, cowboy boots, wears a cool vest, has long hair, and got muscles. All that makes up for his lack of money. So it's not just one thing or the other. It's not just one or the other. It's both. They want both. They want both the guy who's got the money and the guy who's a bad boy and who excites them. But they can't have it. Because the guy who's got money is predictable. He's a plodder. It's not P-L-O-T-T, but P-L-O-D-D-E-R. Plodder. He's a planner. He's predictable. Predictability, consistency, routines, self-discipline, this kind of stuff is boring to women. They like unpredictability. They like guys who get mad and angry, who take control. This is why women stay in relationships where guys beat them and guys hit them. Because deep down, there's something about it that actually fucking turns them on. It's power. Oh, this guy's powerful. Oh, he can take control. It's primal. And please believe me that I'm not encouraging you to hit a woman ever. Not at all. I'm saying this is why. They're constantly fighting with this up-to-date, updated version of female sexuality, which is smart, bases things on predictability, bases things on can he financially provide, and then this more primal, this more biological urge to have sex with the guy who will beat the shit out of other guys. And again, I'm not encouraging guys to go out and get in fights. That's not necessarily a winning thing, a winning formula to get a woman. But it turns them on. Don't think that women don't like action movies where the guy kicks everyone's ass. Don't think it's just the guys who like those movies. Women like that too. It gets them wet. They like guys who are buff and who fucking take charge and who throw them onto the bed and fuck their brains out. They love that shit. But now it's like they kind of want to mix of both. They want a little bit of a bad boy and a little bit of a breadwinner. A guy who's a little predictable but also a little unpredictable. And most of the time they can't have it. Most of the time they can't have it. And this is one of the things that Pua teaches men. Pua, pickup artist, one of the things that they teaches men is to be unpredictable, to be both the bad boy and the stable guy. But we're just not this way. I mean, we just are what we are. We're not any kind of formula. And unfortunately, women, just like men, how we like big boobs and big ass and stereotypical, attraction. Women like stereotypical bad boys. So the guy who plays it better and who does a better job of selling that bad boy image, he does a little better with women. It just stands to reason. So why do women go for bad boys? It's because they're not at that level yet where they understand that these guys aren't going to take care of you for the rest of your life. And they're not going to be able to keep up with that attraction. They're not going to be able to keep you constantly attracted. And they're just not smart enough to understand this yet. So this is why women have a bunch of sex with a bunch of different bad boys, because they're young and dumb. And then often they get STDs or they sort of lower themselves. Again, there's more than one wall. When they hit the first wall, they sort of realize, oh, I can't keep fucking these bad boys for the rest of my life. Oftentimes the second wall is the opposite of the first wall. The second wall is they hit a wall in their personal life, their personal happiness. So from age 15, say, about 15 is when a lot of people start having sex, to about age 25. Women are fucking around with a lot of bad boys, a lot of different quote unquote good looking guys and all this, whatever. Then they hit about 25. start to lose their looks a little bit. Maybe they've been smoking weed a lot. They don't know anything about diet. They don't know anything about exercise or making themselves look better. A lot of women are catching on, but a lot of them just sort of rest on their laurels. They're good looking naturally. Biology or nature, God or whatever have you, what have you, has made them this way, has made them attractive to the opposite sex. And they've been coasting on that. Everybody wants to fuck them. It's great. It's wonderful. And they've been coasting on that. But about 25, they don't have any diet principles. They don't know how to eat right. They don't know how to exercise, most of them. They hit a wall. They gain weight. They look older than they really are. And they wake up and then they say, wait a minute. I can't do this for the rest of my life. I can't continue to keep attracting the same kind of guys. I'm not getting the same kind of guys as I used to. Now they got to start getting smarter. Now they got to make a choice. Do I want to keep messing around and risk my life for this? Or am I going to find a guy with money and settle down? Many of them settle down. Most, I'd say. When they hit the wall, they settle down. They find a sucker, they find a beta or whatever you want to call it, a guy who is predictable, and they settle down. Many of them still continue to cheat. They still think they can have both. And many of them successfully do so. They successfully have both. They successfully cheat. Many of them do. But then 5 years later, 10 years later, age 30, age 35, they hit another wall. This wall is they're sick and tired of this predictable guy. They want another bad boy. They want somebody who's going to spike their emotions, somebody who's going to spike their attraction, get them wet. They want to get fucked again. So that's their second wall. And there's 3 or 4 more walls to come. Or there's 3 or 4 more walls total. So there's 1 or 2 more walls to come before they hit 50 or 60 and they realize, well, that's it for me. Whatever I got, I got. And this happens to all of us. But in the meantime, what kind of life have they lived? They didn't marry for love. They had a whole bunch of sex, probably broke a lot of hearts, hurt a lot of people, maybe spread STDs, had a kid out of wedlock who grew up to be a shitty person because they don't have any morals, they don't have any foundation, or they don't understand how to raise good kids. And their kids become one of these liberal drones, these liberal zombies out there who are marching and they don't even know what they're marching for. And then they got this guy who's he's just a designated credit card. He gives them money and they get what they want and they come home and they don't do anything for the rest of their life. Many of them don't work. You don't have to work if you're a female. You don't have to. It's not required. You just give sex. You just be lucky enough to be good looking enough to get a guy with a good job. If you're not, well, you take what you can get. You're kind of SOL, you're shit out of luck, and you got to go to work probably. But even then, anyway, so this is why women choose men, because of these social norms, because of this inequality, unequal standards, right? And they can sit back on their laurels. They don't have to base anything on morals. They don't have to base anything on love, real love. It's harder if you do. Because then you got to really look. Then you got to look into yourself and you got to explore yourself. And most people don't like to do that. They don't like to look in the mirror and be honest with themselves. If you want love, you kind of got to understand and know yourself. You got to love yourself first. That's a tall order. It's a tough thing to do for most people. Particularly in the kind of age that we live in, where love is not something that comes into the equation most of the time. It's just, productivity. Are you productive? Can you get the job done? Can you make somebody money? Do you have something to exchange, which is often sex? When you are a sex symbol, when your worth is based on sex, then you have certain requirements. This is your requirement. This is your role. You got to play your role. The woman knows that when the man comes home from work and he's tired, she's got to suck his dick. This is her job. This is her exchange for what he's giving her. She's got to suck his dick. This is why women don't like sex. Because sex to them is a chore. Sex to them is a means to an end. They're not going to give it away for free. That's why it's so hard to get. It's so hard to get because to the victor go the spoils. Darwinism, the strongest survive. This is what our society is based on. The man with the most money gets the best woman. Period. And it's logical. If you have the best skills, you can do something that nobody else can do, then you should be able to capitalize on that in this society. But somewhere there's a skewed line. Somewhere it doesn't always apply. It's not always so black and white, cut and dry. And that area is when it comes to relationships and love. It can't be the same thing. But it is. And this is what we've done. We've transmorphed a real loving relationship into a barter agreement, into a business, if you will, an exchange, a market. I'm going to give you sex, and you're going to give me money. What is love to a woman? We have to get into this psychology. What is love to a woman? When we say women use sex to get love and men use love to get sex, what are we talking about? We have to go back to this social norm. We have to go back to these social standards and these social characteristics for what a man is. Because it's attached. It's attached to this equation. A man is a breadwinner, a real man, a quote unquote real man. When you hear a woman say, there's no more real men, what's she talking about? She's talking about there's no more chivalrous guys who wear suits, guys who love women in a manly way and who make money and who can buy a house and pay for all these things. Why is that? Why is there no more men like that? Well, for one, a lot of betas walking around. Why? Because that whole alpha man, that whole take charge, that whole get things done is killed by this new sort of social justice behavior. Oh, you can't say that. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you got to be kind. You got to do it. And it kills men's confidence. But in a sense, I'm okay with that. Because I don't agree with what that social norm and that social standard and that social characteristic for what a man is anyways. So what is love? So when we say women exchange sex for love, well, what is that love? Again, you have to talk about these connotations of what men are. What's a real man? He's a breadwinner. It's a guy who provides. So if for some reason you don't have a good job, particularly in this market, in this financial landscape, economical 21st century landscape that we're living in, you're not a real man. So what is love? Love is being able to be taken care of. Why is this so much in chaos? Why is this so much in disarray? Because there's so many things that are coming into conflict with that. Feminism. Feminism says you can do everything a man can do. You can. This is confusion. What else? Entertainment, pop culture, telling women that they can be whores and that, it's okay and, it's okay to have sex with a bunch of guys and blah, blah, blah. So that throws into chaos that as well. So we've got social conditioning for hundreds of thousands of years. which says a woman wants to choose a man who can take care of her, provide for her, take care of a family, and be a good benefactor financially. But then you got this social chaos coming in, throwing that into confusion, saying, you can be a slut, it's okay. And it's okay for you to go out and sleep around, and you're just the same as men. They're confused. They're confused. But I don't think they're so confused to the point where they still don't deep down want that breadwinner. They want that breadwinner. This is why a woman chooses a man for his financial ability. This is why a woman chooses a man for his ability to provide. And then to top all of that off, you got this little quiet voice in the back of their heart saying, I want love. I want love. I've seen this love. I've seen it in the movies. I've seen it in blah, blah, blah. I've read it in the romance novels. I want this love. Of course, that's a whole nother topic. It's a whole nother subject. What is that kind of love when it comes to a female? Many times it's highly unrealistic. I mean, if you watch the movie The Notebook, or you watch all these modern love stories, and they're all just so pandering to women, and the guy is so perfect, and he's just so unrealistic. But to some degree, we've been told stories of it. We hear about it in fairy tales. We read it in Shakespeare and romance novels, and we see it in movies. Love, real love. So there's so much in conflict, so much in chaos. And then even that you have to mix in with, well, most of these love stories, the guy's, he's kind of a prince. He's got stuff going for him. Why, when people mention, qualities of a male, oh, he's a doctor. He's a lawyer. Why? Because of the money these guys make. It's not necessarily because, oh, he's helping people, he's saving lives, or oh, he's doing this, he's very civic and he's egalitarian. No, it's because of how much, it's the salary. What's the most egalitarian, helpful job out there? It's a teacher. A teacher's the best job when it comes to, if you want to really help people, you want to really change people's lives. It's a teacher. It's also one of the hardest jobs, and it's one of the lowest paying jobs for how hard it is. But no woman is like, he's a teacher. They don't give a shit. In fact, being a teacher is boring. And forget about the pornos that the setting is the classroom. The only reason those are popular is because, we all grew up, and that's when we hit our peak testosterone and our peak sexual phase was in school. So it's a fantasy, but it has nothing to do with the teacher being sexy because he's a teacher and he's helpful. No. Because teachers only make $36,000 a year on average. So why do when people say, "Oh, Daddy, I'm engaged to this wonderful man. He's a catch. He's a doctor." Oh. Because people put emphasis on financial ability. People put emphasis on a career, and they attach it, and it becomes connotated to someone's worth. He's a stockbroker. He owns a business. He's rich. Why is Donald Trump so popular? Why is Donald Trump married to a beautiful Russian woman? Because he's rich. Money is power. Money is attractiveness. Money is social worth. It's social clout. It becomes self-worth. This is very important to women. Unfortunately for us guys. She'll play around with the bad boys. She'll maybe even fall in love with a bad boy. But in the back of her mind, she wants a guy who can take care of her. It's in her biology. What she really needs is neither the bad boy or the rich guy. She needs the guy who will love her and be faithful to her day in and day out through sunny days or storms, metaphorically, of course, through hard times and good times. The guy who wants her only, the guy who's special to her only. This is real love. But when you put all those other things ahead of real love, ahead of real compatibility, then you get what you get. You end up hitting wall after wall after wall. You chase the alpha because he's so cool, the wannabe bad boy because he's so cool, and you think he's an alpha, blah blah blah, until he breaks your heart because he cheats on you, until he gets you pregnant and runs out, until you get an STD. Then your whole life changes. Then you hit a wall. Then you make your second mistake, second big life mistake, is you choose a guy for his money. Then you get bored after 5 or 10 years. Yeah, it's nice going to Hawaii and Tahiti and Florida and Europe, and it's nice doing that twice a year because he's stable and he's got a good income and he can afford vacations. It's nice having everything you want, but you're bored. You're bored. You're bored sexually, but you're also bored emotionally. Because money isn't love. A good situation isn't love. And then you have these women who think they're smart. They think they're smart. And they're like, oh, well, I'll find both. I'll find a guy who's really good looking and he's a bad boy and I love him and he loves me and he's faithful and he's got money. Good luck. Good luck, sweetie. Good luck. He's not going to have all those things. He might have one or two, but he's not going to have all those things. And I'll tell you what, if you're looking, if you think money is love, if you think even good looks is love per se, you're gonna find something different. You're gonna have a rude awakening at some point. Maybe not this year, but you probably will next year. It's just life. You have to have values. You have to have ethics and morals. You have to have foundational worth. You can't be so, you can't be so picky. You can't be so choosy in that way. I'm not saying you got to settle for somebody you don't love or somebody you don't like or somebody that doesn't have money, blah, blah, blah. But if you put money and you put these other standards ahead of real love, then you get what you get. Thank you guys for listening. Jason Levi with Northwest Podcast.